Go.
Okay, so Samir and the team. So from a dealer's perspective, dealer has to set up a profile for Express WriteUp2. That is the very first place where they can enter their dealership information and list all the job codes. This is one of the admin web portal, web page application where dealer admins go to and set up all the job codes and sales type codes and their service advisor info in this page. So dealers are supposed to see their dealer families list in the dealer code field, and the API on the right side you see the DMS endpoint. Every DMS is different. Will have different endpoints like a CDK Proceed and Vibe, the other Carmack 30. So every dealership will have whatever the DMS they are using, they have their own unique URL associated to that DMS. So this is where they plug in all that information here, the DMS endpoint and some settings that drives like creating a guidance case, Cummins guidance case based on the win, and estimate customers if the Canada versus US dealers, they can change the distance to miles or kilometers setting by default. They can all the settings can be set here, and then here is the job codes where dealers will list or they have the option to import if they have like a bunch of like 1,000 or 1,500 set of job codes. We have a template file that I circulate with to the dealer admins, and they just fill in. It's a pretty much basic. It's like a 2-column fields, and they fill in all the info, and then they use. There is a browse button here. Upload CSV file. They click browse button, and they import all that information in one go, rather than adding each individual job code or sales type code. But later, once they have added, if they come up with a new job codes, they can come here and they click basically add sales type or different types of codes, job, sales, payment, and all that stuff. They can add it here. Once they add it here on the mobile app, they have to sync the profile. So before I jump onto the mobile app, do you guys have any questions on this page? This is the profile setup. We call it. We refer as like a dealer profile setup, where dealers start here as a first step in order to use Express WriteUp2.
Hey, Vamsi, what protocol do you use? Do you use SOAP or REST for this?
This is a pretty much basic web application. It's REST calls we make.
REST.
We have both, depending on the DMS, we use both. Express uses SOAP versus REST. Depending on, I think CDK has two, SOAP requests, and Carmack also has a SOAP request, but Proceed and other DMS are integrated as like a REST calls.
Yeah, we would use REST too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So
we would prefer REST.
Right.
Yeah.
That is our recommendation. But so for example, Carmack was implemented a while back. They have REST APIs, but that's something in the future we might do the conversion to the REST APIs once they have it ready.
Is this is this all manual, or is this do you have endpoints that we can use to update this information as it changes, or is this a one-time thing? You just manually upload and you're done?
It's kind of a one-time thing. The endpoints, we don't, DTNA does not create endpoints. DMS creates the endpoint they provide to the dealership. So dealerships are going to plug in that endpoint, whatever that is respective to that location, and also the branch ID is another field where they have to put in. Otherwise, if they don't have branch ID, then it creates in a different branch that will work out. So they have to plug in their branch ID as well here.
Okay.
Yeah, so DTNA does not create any endpoints for dealers, DMS endpoints. It's all created by the DMS systems.
Okay.
Okay, I will jump onto the Express WriteUp mobile app. So this mobile app is hosted in a DTNA App Store. It's not available in Apple's App Store or Google Play Store. It's a DTNA has its own enterprise P2B store, we call it, an app store where dealers go to and download the application.
Okay.
So this is so right up to application. The landing page is Win Utilities. When they log in, this is where dealers will log in to this page. So here, this is from here, they have different options to scan a win or enter last 6 characters of the win, or there is a QR code scanner. There are features. The QR code label is put in place on the truck. They can use the scan QR code, and it brings back the full 17 character win. Or if they have a print option, like for old trucks, there is no QR code, right? So once they know the 17 character long win, they can create a QR code for future visits. So there is a printer, that's the DTNA recommends one of the printer to print the QR code labels, and they can stick it onto the vehicle after they perform the repair for the first time. Kind of old vehicles, I would say. Most of the new vehicles comes with a QR code. There is another e-link feature also. Blue Link Mini is another adapter that dealers can plug in to the vehicle, and they use the e-link feature, which connects to a Bluetooth adapter, and connects to your vehicle and has all the information of the vehicle distance and all the fault codes info. Not all the fault codes, but it's a limited set of fault codes. Information will be displayed. So there are several ways to process the win. So most of the times, dealers will start with either entering 6 character win or by e-link. So these are the two heavily used features in Express WriteUp. So I'm going to enter 6 character win. What should happen is, like, there are multiple step process. When they click, for example, I'm putting one of the win MN2345. When I hit go, first it goes to the DTNA systems and gets all the information about the vehicle and their warranty coverages, and any recalls or open recalls or campaigns, and the claim history of that vehicle, whatever is available from the DTNA's whole system and other systems within DTNA. So this is the landing page for a vehicle. After processing a vehicle, once it receives, step one is to go get the information from DTNA, and the second step is go get the information from DMS. If the vehicle has already been present in the DMS, it may have been associated with the customer, which brings back the customer information of that vehicle as well. So this is where you see the top portion of this screen is vehicle information will be shown from DTNA. Anything that comes from DTNA will be shown, and the warranty customer, who is the warranty customer registered in our system. And the down below, the DMS customer here, which is where the customer info comes from a DMS associated to that vehicle. So DTNA, there may be a discrepancy or a conflict with the customer matching information sometimes, because the truck may have been sold to a different customer. But DTNA systems have not been updated. So sometimes you may see, but otherwise most of the times you see the same customer. It depends. As sometimes warranty fleet customer, but the individual truck customer is going to be different.
So did you, sorry to interrupt you, but so did you hit the customer's endpoint at this point?
Yes.
To get the information?
Correct. That is correct. So, for example, I'm impersonating Proceed profile. So I'm talking, my win is connecting to the Proceed DMS, and it hits both vehicle API and also the customer API. So anytime when the vehicle inquiry is done from a DMS, which also provides the customer ID in the vehicle response, and based on that vehicle, based on the customer ID, we go make a customer ID request call based on that ID, which brings back all the customer information. We have only one set of field. I think there is the main address, and some DMSs have like two different types of customer records, like one for the main customer record and one for the billing. I think depending on how Proceed we show main, there is no billing address display here. But most of the times, 99% of the times, they will be the same. But there is a 1% there, it could be different. But other DMSs doesn't have that kind of a difference in customer records. But Proceed is kind of a little unique compared to the, little different compared to the other DMSs. But what we show here, what dealers wants to see it here, that is what we do it here. So they proceed, DTNA dealers would like to see the main address information. That's where we have programmed to show that info rather than building address info. Okay, and here the search function is available. Also, if the customer is for sometimes if it's a brand new vehicle in the DMS customer will be blank, and they can use the search feature here where they can search by ID, by name, or by phone number. These are the three fields depending on the DMS capability. We have these three options, and for Carmack, it's only by name is the only one available, ID. So not by phone. So depending on the API's capability, we can add or remove some of these search by fields capability as well in the app. But for Proceed, there are three ways to search, and it goes and talks to the DMS. And again, it brings back all the customer details, like with a name and their address and ID. It's going to show up in the set table format. They can pick if they want a different customer, they can pick, and it's going to populate that selected customer information here in the screen. At this point, it's all still in the XView2, Express WriteUp2. It's not assigned that a customer to that vehicle in the DMS. So only when that happens, at the time of creating a repair order, that customer assignment happens in the DMS. Right now, it's all still limited to within the Express WriteUp2. I'm working on it, but I haven't done anything to the DMS in the DMS. Okay, any questions on the screen before I jump onto another?
And you can always create a new customer as well, right?
That is correct. If so basically the new button pre-populates with if the already customer exists, and if you don't like it, that is not the right customer. If you want to change it, you can create new, and then there is a clear all. It clears off everything, and you can enter information. Otherwise, by default, it pre-populates the warranty customer information when you click new button. So, okay. Any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. And the next thing I'm going to jump onto is like a warranty coverage. Here is this is where all the information about the warranty coverage is available for that vehicle. Everything is retrieved from the OWL system, DTNA OWL system. I believe you are familiar with the DTNA OWL system. If not, OWL is like an online warranty link. That's the full name of the system. So here is where all kinds of information is displayed, and then there are different filters available. There are all of coverages. The chassis, engine, they can filter by to see respective components coverages. But by default, it will always be set. And if they want to see only engine, they can see engine specific available coverages. Sometimes some vehicles may come up with preventive maintenance coverages also, but this vehicle does not have that preventive maintenance coverage. But if they do, you will see PM is one of the choice list here. You can filter on. And here options, by default, these will be attached to your work order. When work order is uploaded from Express WriteUp, all the warranty coverages will be, a snapshot will be taken and attached as a PDF and uploaded to DMS. But users will also have an option to email or print from the device as well on the screen.
Is that pulling Cummins engine coverage as well?
Yes. I believe, Marty, correct me if I'm wrong, does OWL brings back Cummins too? I believe so.
I believe it's going to take you to the Cummins site for that. And what Vamsi was showing earlier on, you actually can create a Cummins guidance case with Express WriteUp2. So if it falls into that scenario, guidance then would be your connection to pull that information up.
Yeah, I don't think OWL has the Cummins coverage, but if you've got a guidance link.
Okay. Yeah, so I think that we get campaigns of Cummins campaigns. We get it. So that's another screen. there is a recalls and campaigns. This will show all the DTNA's open campaigns and recalls, plus the comments, any campaigns for the comments engine. So our services will determine whether, based on the engine that's equipped with for that vehicle, if it detects comments, then it makes a request to comments API. There is an external API. For comments, it goes and the serial number will be sent to comments, and then it will bring back all that open campaigns information for the comments engine. They will show up here as well.
In any active campaign, if there's an open active campaign, the instant that you've put the VIN in, processed it, went through the OWL retrieval and the DMS retrieval, it'll come back with a pop-up to let you know that there's an active campaign on it.
Okay, any questions before I move on to another screen?
If there are any active campaigns or recalls, maybe I'm jumping the hook here, but does it automatically add those as a job step?
Does not add, but there will be a plus sign. For example, this one doesn't have, this is completed campaign, so that's why you are not seeing plus sign. But for any open campaigns, you will see a plus button right next to the campaign, where when they click on it, it basically takes them to the job screen. Basically, it pre-populates all the info in the job screen, where they have to click save button to add to the job.
That's all.
It's a good question. We've actually been asked by the JAD team to automatically add it to the job and then require the customer to deny it if they don't want to do it right then and there. Especially in safety campaigns, we think it's a good idea for us and the dealer to do that.
Okay, and depend again the filters, like for example, if there is any specific engine or chassis or anything, you will see the filter as well. For right now, it's only this vehicle has engine recall, so that's why the filter choice is only engine available. And the claim history is another tab where if any work has been done, warranty work has been done, OWL provides this information. Anything that's any claim histories that are available will show up here as well. So depending on the filter choice, again, chassis, engine, there are two claims for this vehicle. One is chassis and one is for engine. So it's going to either you can see by component or you can see everything all at once. And the user have an option to attach to the repair order as well. They get an email print attached. So this is not a mandatory attachment to the work order, but coverages, warranty coverages is a mandatory attachment. That's why user won't see attach option. It's automatically attached to your repair order. Okay, any questions on the screen?
No.
Virtual technician is not in place yet, but that's something will come in the future. We'll go onto the vehicle components screen. So this is the major components of the vehicle. So there is a WIPS system that it connects to. This information comes from WIPS and all its combined multiple systems this information come from, where they can see all the major component information. Anything that's colored indicates that there is more information available. When they click on that colored row, it's going to show more details of that components, like additional details, whatever is available for that engine. So for example, this is the Detroit DDE engine. So there are some additional information available which is not shown in the screen. But they should be able to view, and again they have an option to email print attach. It's a non-mandatory again. If they would like to attach to a repair order, user should be able to. Any questions here? Okay. The next one is driver interviews. There are different preset of defined questionnaire These are all like when the driver comes in and if they have problems, you can, like for example, air conditioning is not working, they complain, and then it basically it has a predefined questionnaire they can fill out. Like there are a different set of fields, and yes, no, toggle switch, and there are some text fields. If there is more information, user can enter more information. After they enter it, user has to attach to a work order, otherwise it will not be sent to DMS. But they should be able to email or print from the device itself. But if they would like to have a copy in their DMS, user must attach, click attach to a work order. So any field interviews are shown with the color coded, like air conditioning. I touched it and I been to that screen and I did something. That's why it's when you come back, it says you have visited that page and you have some information there. That's kind of indication what interviews you have been filled out for that vehicle. And vibration or transmission, if you click on it, it has a different set of questionnaire. You can choose. There are some different formats available here as well, so they can fill it out and then they can attach to your work order.
Is it possible to add to that list, or is that the only thing that you can?
On this screen, or you are referring to this one?
No, back.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a defined questionnaire, but it's not an option to add at a user level. If something that needs to be added as a new, that's a change in the app.
It's a request that we've had. We just haven't prioritized that yet. It hasn't been high on our list to do yet.
Okay, and E-Link tab is the one where I have to actually connect to a vehicle using a BlueLink Mini. So I can go to this tab, but it will tell you that hey, no E-Link data, but connect to that adapter. BlueLink Mini is an adapter that it is currently supported with this application. If dealers have like old adapters like a BlueLink adapter, that's not supported. Only the BlueLink Mini version is supported in Express WriteUp2. Okay, and we'll jump onto the vehicle inspection page where here is where dealers can take pictures, or they can add photos or anything from their library. Sorry, my photos are kind of a little messy. I was doing some testing this morning. I took pictures.
I'm more concerned that it looks like you ate your coaster.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Oh, you see that, buddy? Oh, yeah, right. So user have an option to add one or more photos to it, and either from using the camera. When they click on camera, it brings up a camera view, or they can add from the library if anything that's captured. It's going to bring up that library as well. They can add from here. And the jobs list, these are the overall vehicle inspections. They're trying to take random pictures of the vehicle to protect themselves from any damage that customers complain. And also there are pictures. They can add also pictures at the job level also, job operation. So here is where they add all kinds of jobs. For example, when I go to warranty coverage, if I would, there is an option. Let's say, for example, there is a warranty coverage. There is some work needs to be done. Then there is a new job button. So when I click on this job, it's going to pre-populate all that information into a job screen, add job screen, where you can see all the condition complaint copied here. All the text from that screen to here, and they can add photos by using clicking camera, or you can add photos from the library. You can save it. Basically, it's going to, what it is doing, verifying job settings. Like we have custom setup for Proceed and CDK. Express WriteUp2 validates the job code that was selected to ensure it is a valid job code in DMS. If anything that is not valid or inactive in DMS, it's going to display message, it's not a valid job code. So when I go to the job screen, you will see now I have two jobs. One from the warranty, and then I added earlier one with a job that has a photo. So you can add photos as well here. And in the repair order screen, this is where they fill in all the vehicle details. If vehicle is processed via e-link, then some of this information is pre-populated from the processing e-link. Like for example, distance and engine hours, probably some of those information is already, whatever the information comes from that e-link process. And here for proceed, they have an option to create an estimate only, or estimate with the RO, or only just RO. So proceed has a different setup in Express WriteUp2. So it's in user's control. Right now the estimate toggle switch is on, and now I turned off everything, which means it only just creates the repair order, not the estimate or not both. But if I want both estimate and by default, when the user turns on the estimate switch, it automatically turns on the include RO. So basically it makes two requests to the DMS and creates one estimate and one repair order. And it will be linked together. Once the estimate is created and at the time of second upload of the repair order, it will include the estimate number associated to that repair order in the next payload request to DMS.
Is this a configuration in the company?
I believe so, yes.
Samir, does that cause any conflicts with our current method of generating estimates and repair orders?
No, because I think they can create estimate and a repair order. Those are two different documents, right? You're creating?
Yeah. Yep. So two different work orders. Yes, two different documents. I'm not sure how exactly estimate works in Proceed. That I have no visibility. But to me, it's from my perspective, from the app's perspective, it's just two work orders requests. Basically.
That's exactly how we do it as well. We have two. If we can have an estimate, we can have a repair order, or we can have an estimate and a repair order.
Right.
Two different documents, and our service department, that's what Chip was mentioning right now, would prefer to have an estimate and a repair order. Chip, I think in this case you only want an estimate, right? Or do you want to automatically create both?
More than likely we'd be creating both.
Okay.
Yeah, now maybe I'm...
Yeah, so this feature is only, Proceed DMS is the only supported, but other DMSs, they can only create repair orders. There is no estimate feature for other DMSs.
And
it's only for Proceed.
Might be jumping ahead a little bit, but in the Uptime Pro system, when the RO comes across, there's usually a link between the estimate and the RO. So when you have Uptime Pro open, and you're viewing the RO, there's a link to the estimate. When you're viewing the estimate, there's a link to the RO.
Okay.
Martin, when we had this initial conversation, I think you were part of that conversation. This conversation started with Uptime Pro.
Right.
And I'm sure you're aware that we are live with Uptime Pro.
Yes.
Is there a link between these two still?
Not directly. No, the Express WriteUp actually creates the RO in the DMS. You'll see in the next couple of weeks, Vamsi will have a link. If you use the Uptime Pro appointment feature, it will now start to look at Uptime Pro to see if there's an open appointment and let you create the RO from the appointment in Uptime Pro. Still creating the RO or estimate or both in the DMS. So that's the connection there. But there's no direct connection today between Express WriteUp and Uptime Pro.
Okay. And it is okay. Here you can fill in all the info, and then the signature is required, and they can toggle the switch on. They can capture the customer signature here, and I'm going to click use DMS customer. Basically, it's going to pre-populate whatever the customer information from the customer record, but the user can edit if that information is not right. They can still edit and do all that information. Once they have done. Here in there is a menu, different types of menu. From this repair order, they can email, print, and upload is actually they are creating a work order in DMS. And the review attachments is like how many attachments are being attached to the work order. These are the three choices. I mean, three attachments are attached with the work order. One is repair order, and the coverage is PDF and photos PDF. So all the photos taken for this bin are added to one PDF document and uploaded to DMS as an attachment. And I'm going to create a repair order. So since I have the customer signature on, customer is presented with signature, and they can sign something, and then signature is captured, and only it's included in Express write-up PDF report. So now it went to proceed, and it created both repair order number and estimate order number. Click on OK, and there are a few documents. I'm going to say, not email. I will print so that you can see what information in the PDF that's included. So this is the repair order PDF documents generated in Express WriteUp2. This will also go in as an attachment into DMS. So they can see all the information, all the repair order number, vehicle, customer contact details, and the high-level information of the vehicle, and hard card information, all the major components, and all the added jobs, job 1 and 2, and then there is a pre-auth limit. If they have chosen to pre-auth limit and they put in like 750, they can, that amount will be displayed here. Right now I didn't put any number on it. That's why it says NA, not available. But otherwise disclaimer and signature. Disclaimer comes from the admin web portal. Whatever the disclaimer, they would like to have it on this screen and this report. They have to put that disclaimer in the web portal, so the dealer admin have the control of what disclaimer text they want to have it for their customers.
So,
And go ahead.
on the pre-auth,
Mm-hmm.
with that, are there plans to pull? Because like we're start. I mean, as you guys know, I'm sure they started the pre-auth with core-centric customers in certain of the major fleets.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna pull that if it's set up in HAL?
Yeah. Bonzi, will you go back to the RO screen?
Yep.
So what we're doing right now, CoreCentric wasn't able to give us an API yet for that. So what you'll do now is we have a link where it shows pre-auth limit, and if you click on that, what it's going to do is actually take you to a spreadsheet that we posted in SSI under your dealer code, and it will show the dollar amount approval that specific customers have provided for you. It won't tell you that that VIN has a pre-auth limit. If that VIN is owned by Werner and Werner approves you $1,000, it will show you there.
Okay. Cool. That's cool.
So right now it's a rough view, but it gives you that info. If they have done the pre-auth through CoreCentric and in that program, it'll give you that. It's just going to give you a spreadsheet of all the customers, so you'll have to sift through there. Right now, I think there's only a half a dozen or 10, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's pretty manageable right now, but I imagine you guys plan on continuing to enhance this program, so I'm sure it'll just get better.
Yeah, and that's what happened was, the year went on and we just weren't able to make that connection. So we'll follow up with them and get that across.
Yeah.
Very cool so far.
Yeah, for dealers, basically, I did not log in as a real dealer, but for dealers who have set up with the pre-auth limits, when they click on that link, it's going to come to this page, and where they can see different pre-auth limits for those fleets for the dealership as well. So right now, my profile is not set up to show that information, but otherwise dealers would see it. And this will also be attached as a mandatory. Once they click on that, it's going to capture, take a snapshot of that pre-auth limit, and it's going to be attached to the work order as well. And the user has no option to detach, because we would like to be attached so that they know. We basically snapshot to save everyone's. Otherwise, sometimes dealers may come back like a, your system showed something, but that's not the amount kind of thing. So basically, as long as we capture the screen snapshot of that, whatever the information is displayed, at least that covers the evidence of what was shown and what was dealer saying kind of. Okay, I think that's okay. I'm not sure if you are interested in other pieces. Like on the top right corner, the express rate of cache is most recent 10 wins. So when they click manage button, you will see all the last 10 wins. For a debugging purposes, there is a log file if something goes wrong, and if you need to troubleshoot. If you click on the log file button here, it's going to attach debug log, and then you can email it to yourself to see why there was an error kind of thing. That's for debugging purpose. Okay, and if you dealer, like for example, if dealers would like to work on multiple wins, and they have to switch back and forth between different wins, this is the place where they go. And let's say, for example, he worked on this win but haven't completed yet, but there is another customer come in, and if you would like to select a different win, then they can go ahead and click, choose the desired one and click select this win. So, and then it's going to load that information, that wins information.
And this app is Android compatible as well?
Yes, both Android and iOS.
Which you wouldn't have had last year either, by the way.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Okay, maybe another feature here. The write-ups. Some dealers do start with a write-up. This is another feature where they can basically enter some information here. Driver call in, or somebody while on the road, they might call in. Okay, they get some basic information. Maybe they can search for customer. They pick some customer from the result, and they fill in, and then they can save that write-up.
The other use case is when you get 5 or 6 people all walk in at the same time. You can get the complaint, get the signature, and then make the connections to the wins later.
Yeah. So and they can go back and revisit whatever the write-up, and they can fill in the rest of information, and they have the option to convert to an RO or convert with e-link, depending on whatever choice they use. It's basically convert to RO. It's going to capture whatever the information it has been entered, and it creates the jobs for each complaint that they have added in this form based on the default settings. And it's going to pre-fill all the fields in the repair order screen, and they just need to click upload, depending on how much information they put here. So this is another feature that some dealers do use as well.
How did you get to that? What screen was that? I apologize.
Basically, from the main menu, you click on the write-ups. Very good.
And this is more or less just an area to quickly jot down some info that you intend on converting to estimate or prepare later?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
it. Detailed spec is another one feature which brings back component information of that vehicle.
And for you,
it's going to show,
it will only show you vehicles that you sold.
Right. Thanks, Marty. Okay, and the links is something coming up in the future release. This is where we are adding several links, and we have a link to Uptime Pro as well. When they click on it, basically they can go to the Uptime Pro page where they can see all their hours, and they can add pictures or whatever the stuff they do from their desktop. They should be able to perform the same duties on the iPad device, depending. Of course, there may be some limitations on how much they can do from the mobile device, but something we're adding to. Okay, I think that's all I have to demo, unless you have any questions on specific features.
I do have a couple questions. So first off, I mean, Samir, I think I've seen enough to know that we need to get working on this. Like, I don't know what all it takes. I know it's not easy, but you guys are amazing at what you do, so I have faith. One of the questions I have about the actual functionality of the program is, so, matter of fact, looking at this screen right here, scan VIN text, how functional is that? Is that decent? Because I think you made, Vamsi, you made reference to the fact that E-Link or the QR code are most utilized.
Right.
If a guy's out there, he doesn't have an which I plan on buying E-Links, enough of them to have some spares and one for every service advisor, but how well does the scanning VIN text work? Is that fairly effective?
I will let Marty speak on it.
In the past, it's been less than glorious. In our vehicles, it's actually easier to enter the last 6 in. That's been benefit there. Now, scanning the QR code is stunningly beautiful, and we've put QR codes since 2015, so odds are you should find one on Freightliner Western Star trucks. So scanning the VIN, my experience has been hit and miss. Now, the guys have done some improvements to it, but what you run into is font recognition, because we have different fonts in different vehicles, and ones and L's and zeros and O's are pretty common.
U's and the B's
mix up there,
and the last 6 is easy enough, but I'm just looking at from a not just efficiency but accuracy, trying to take as much human error out as possible. So obviously, we want to utilize the QR codes and the E-Link. I was just curious.
Yeah, and the E-Link will work with all makes too, as long as the connector fits. It should pull in the VIN and miles. So at least from that standpoint, you've got your accuracy there.
That's the way to do it. And we can get the E-Links through Parts Pro, through Paragon, can't we?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's essentially.
Yeah. It's called Blue Link Mini. So yes, and one thing to mention here is this app also works for the non-DTNA events as well. When you are processing for DTNA events, it's only 6 or 17, but if there is a non-DTNA vehicle, so user will need to enter full 17 character if there is no QR code or E-Link connected to it. But once they enter full 17 character, when they hit to go, first it goes to our system and it can't find that VIN. And the user will be prompted, hey, this is a non-DTNA VIN. Would you like to use anyway, kind of thing. So there is an option, use anyways, which takes them back to vehicle plus customer screen, And it also makes an inquiry in your DMS. Whatever the information comes from that DMS, it's going to show up under the vehicle information section, and there will be an edit button here that will show up for non-DTN events. You won't see it for the DTN events, but for non-DTN events, there will be an edit button under vehicle information where the service advisor can fill in all the information like make, model, whatever the fields that are available there, and whatever the fields that DMS supports as well. So sometimes some DMS is required, like in-service date is a required field, but that user can fill in before the work order as well.
So how do you make this screen to conform with the DMS? Right? Just like you mentioned, things are compulsory for us, which may not be for other other vendors, software vendors, whether it's Proceed or Tarmac. So how do you handle that?
So it all depending on DMS specific requirements. These are the fields available. If DMS likes more or less fields, the screen can be adjusted to show less, or maybe the screen depending on the profile type. Some fields can be marked as required, and then Express write-up will prompt, hey, you are missing these fields info prior to work order. So we can have such kind of validation there, depending on DMS specific requirements. Yeah. So, for example, for Proceed, I think make model is the only information available. In service date, by default, it creates 99. What is that? 9,999. That's the year it creates. If something doesn't come, that is the default template that Proceed has. But if dealer modifies it, user modifies to something like current, then obviously it's going to send the date into DMS. Yeah, it all depends on the DMS specific requirements. If your system likes to have these 10 fields must be there, then the Express write-up app can be valid. It validates all the fields info present or not.
Okay.
It doesn't validate the text entered in the fields, but at least it makes sure that information is filled with whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay.
It's come a long way.
Well, gentlemen, I'll be honest with you. I've seen plenty. I'm Samir. I'd love to, when you get a chance to kind of digest what it's going to take, have a meeting between my dad and you and I, and let's talk about what it's going to take to make this happen. We need this.
Yeah, it's a great tool, guys. I briefly remember what it was in 2018. It's so much better now. I can definitely say that. I guess the next step would be, I know in 2018, there you guys were quite backed up with other vendors trying to integrate. What's your availability as far as giving me a technical contact to start working on? We're a small team of developers here, and we go very, very, very quickly. I think with Uptime Pro, we finished it in like 2.5, 3 weeks. So we will probably be moving very quickly with this. And if you can, Wamsi, I don't know if we'll be working with you personally. If it is you, then if you don't mind sharing any kind of technical specifications, we will let me analyze those, and then we can get started based on your availability.
Yes, yes, I will let Marty, because Marty is the one who prioritizes work, so basically the direction has to come from Marty to get started anything. So Marty, it's your call.
Don't put me on the spot. That's easy.
Yeah. So, perfect. I can provide the documentation to get started. The documentation that we have is a pretty basic. It's like a pretty SOAP-based request and response files. If something we can have a different type of not SOAP but REST APIs, yeah, that it can be changed. I can maybe in another session, maybe I can give it some kind of a technical demo of how it was implemented, so that you can start building the APIs. Integrating into Express WriteUp is not a lot of work, assuming we can reuse the same screens depending on what features available in the DMS. But the APIs development is the key. So APIs can be tested regardless of whether an app is available or not. So how basically how the security system is implemented, how the authentication and the authorization happens, that is the main key to integrate the APIs. And then what API functionalities, what fields are necessary, and I can provide these are the fields. You can create a similar set of fields in your system as well. And if we need to add more, we can easily add depending on how many fields are available. But yeah, but from the prioritization wise, but Marty will prioritize the work for me.
Let's get the documentation to them. And Samir, team, the API connection that you do with Express WriteUp will also be worthwhile in the discussions of write back from Uptime Pro back to your system too. So it won't be a wasted effort. It'll be things that we'll draw on to for that next step in Uptime Pro.
We want to make it as easy as it can be for you guys.
Thank you.
Again, we've got a small team, but we work very efficient and very quick. So if you can share me the documentation, if you can share me any test credentials or anything like that, obviously we'll be using REST. So if you have anything REST based, then please share with me and let me review